you, Rob, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you to Swiss Next for having me speak today. First, I'd like to also start out and condemn racism and stand with our Black brothers and sisters. As well, we are also thinking of the frontline workers who are fighting this invisible disease of COVID-19, especially the nurses who took care of our family so well. So with that, I'm going to talk for about 15, 20 minutes, tell our story of how a little family from Beverly, Massachusetts became a powerful vessel in the fight against ALS and raising ALS awareness. And then at the end, we can do a little Q&A. So thank you for having me, and I will start to share my screen now. Present mode. Sorry. Can everyone see that?
Yes, we can see it, Andrew.
So unfortunately, this is a great picture of my brother and I, and unfortunately, my brother passed about 6 months ago in December of 2019, and I'll just get into our family story and how, as I mentioned, we became such a powerful vessel and loud voice for ALS awareness. So that's kind of how it started. This is, me, some great pictures of me and my brother and of us growing up and how I truly tried to be like him in every single way. He was my role model, my best friend, my hero. I tried to wear the same number as him. I tried to play the same sports as him, just not as good. I went to the same high school. But something that Pete was really good at was he was special. He turned his visions into reality. He's that baby in the picture there wearing head to toe Boston College stuff, and he became a Boston College center fielder. So he truly turned his visions into reality. Think of this: his parents, both my mother and my father, went to Boston College. And as you can see, from a very early age, his dream was to go to Boston College. And being an athlete, not only was his dream to attend Boston College, but he wanted to play a sport there. And he achieved that dream and turned that into a reality. He became the center fielder and was named captain amongst his peers his senior year. So Boston College, as you guys know, is one of the most competitive schools athletically and academically in the country. And he made that his lifelong dream a reality. So next, this is the original freight train. This is our family at a vacation in Florida in 2011, about 6 months prior to my brother Pete being diagnosed with ALS. That's my brother-in-law Dan over to the left, my sister Jennifer, my father John, my mother Nancy, myself, and Pete. All enjoying a relaxing vacation down in Florida in 2011, again, about 6 months prior to my brother's diagnosis. I show you this picture just because, as I stated in the beginning, we are just a loving, normal family from north of Boston. Beverly is about 35 minutes north of Boston, Massachusetts, a suburb, middle-class suburb, and this is how we like to enjoy our time, spending time together as a family with friends and enjoying time on the ocean and going on vacation. Things all changed in March of 2012 when Pete was diagnosed, and we started Team FrateTrain. I'll never forget the night of diagnosis when Pete sat us down at the kitchen table and he said, "I'm going to get this disease in front of mega philanthropists, like Bill Gates." And fast forward to 2014, and Bill Gates is creating a massive contraption for an ALS Ice Bucket challenge. You should Google it if you haven't seen it. But the next morning, him and I are sitting on the back deck, and he told me to put my work boots on, and we went to creating Team FrateTrain. So what is Team FrateTrain? Team FrateTrain, at the core, is an advocacy group. My parents and I realized that going to medical school would take too long to make a real impact. So we did what Pete told us and got our work boots on to create change through awareness. So we had our inspiration, which is Pete, the patient. We had our mission, which is to strike out ALS. We tried to impact the ALS community with walks, 5Ks, and other pub nights. We turned this awareness and ALS advocacy into a full-time job. Pete went into mentoring. His mentor was Steve Gleason, and you'll see later that Pete was a mentor for another ALS patient of Pat Gwynn. They were the young guns of ALS, all right around 30 years old when they were diagnosed, and all starting life, the second chapter of their life as young professionals. And what was the goal? The goal was to raise money and raise treasure. So how did we do that? We started out, as I mentioned, with 5Ks, walks, pub nights, and other ALS things that we were just we were doing anything and everything. Some that you might not see is one of Pete's friends in the top left got a tattoo on his chest of Pete. Also in the left is Pete on the Charlie Rose show. And in the top right, that is my mother and Pete speaking to the FDA in 2013, right before the Ice Bucket Challenge. So as you can see, we were putting in the work and creating that awareness through anything and everything that would cause change. And then the ice started to fall. Pete and Pat saw the opportunity of the Ice Bucket Challenge and became purposeful and strategic. In those first few days, Pete instructed us to keep people motivated by engaging with them, by liking and commenting and sharing each post of everyone's Ice Bucket Challenge. We wanted and needed to show people our gratitude for them advocating on our behalf. And we were so happy that they joined a cause which was bigger than themselves. So what did the Ice Bucket Challenge do? I hope many of you joined in the participation of it as well, but I'll show you some stats from the major social platforms of awareness. So from June 1st to September 1st of 2014, Facebook reported more than 17 million Ice Bucket Challenge videos, which were viewed by more than 440 million people more than 10 billion times. And if you recall Facebook back in 2014, video was really not a part of their platform yet. If you look, and maybe even you did yourself, updated a video to Facebook, it was grainy and pixelated, and Facebook has actually told us, our family, that because of the Ice Bucket Challenge, they added additional resources to the video platform because they saw the exponential growth of the Ice Bucket Challenge. Twitter, their 10th birthday was recently, and they gave Ice Bucket Challenge the number 6 ranking for all of their hashtags throughout their life of Twitter. As you can see, more than 6 million uses of the Ice Bucket Challenge hashtag was used on their platform. And then YouTube really shows that it started as a United States cause, but it went international as well. As you can see from the beginning of August, the blue represents the United States, where the red represents international videos being posted on their platform. And then I really like this map because that map on the bottom right is Facebook again, reporting their data of every strand that you see going across the United States is 1 million Ice Bucket Challenge videos. So as you can see, the epicenter is really in Boston, and that is led from Pete Frates, the patient. So we knew that if people were aware of the disease, they would start to educate themselves. So on the left, you can see that Wikipedia reported their results of ALS searches through prior to August 2014 and then post August 2014. The black is just 160,000 unique searches on Wikipedia prior to, post August 2014, which was the Ice Bucket Challenge. There was close to 3 million ALS searches on Wikipedia. And some of my favorites are of Google. So we knew people would educate themselves going to the internet and Googling the symptoms of ALS, which was the number 5 for all of 2014. Stephen Hawking was the number 3 scientist for all of 2014. Donate to ALS and and it was a top 10 search for all of 2014. And I think that this is remarkable because in August of 2014, all of this happened. Whereas all the other causes and symptoms and everything had a 8-month head start. So August is so late in the year, and ALS and this movement was so powerful that Google represented, it was the number 1 search term for 2014. So let's talk about the donations. And the ALS Association reported $115 million to their organization in just 8 weeks. The worldwide donations, as you can see from the motor neuron disease of the United Kingdom, the ALS Therapy Institute in Cambridge, Massachusetts, the MND Australia, and ALS Canada all reported their additional funding from the Ice Bucket Challenge. And we estimate that the worldwide total donation is $250 million. And I think this is very substantial because when my brother got diagnosed, taking you back to that day of diagnosis, Pete sat down with his doctor and said, "Doc, what do you need from me? What can I do to help change this fight?" And she looked at him and jokingly said, "Pete, I need $1 billion." Well, the Ice Bucket Challenge gave a quarter of that goal. I think also substantial is that the ALS Association, the national organization, received donations from more than 2.4 million new donors. And if any of you are in the fundraising space, you know how hard it is to capture new donors and new data from those donors so that they can become retention donors. So 40% of those 2.4 indicated they wanted to stay involved, and 55% became from that 18 to 30-year-old demographic where the slacketism that everyone was called, they showed that they put their money where their mouth was. So what has been done with those dollars? As you can see, there has been 5 new genes discovered since the Ice Bucket Challenge. There have been $7.5 million to the ALS research programs, which is about a triple of their normal budget. So the ALS Association is also putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to their increased donations. So the disruption from the Ice Bucket Challenge, as I mentioned, social media was disrupted. As you can see what's going on with the protests, social media is becoming a voice for causes now. It is a huge disruption to the branding and the marketing. ALS is known as MND in other parts of the world, but ALS is now a universal term for all ALS advocacy going forward. They have adopted the ALS and got rid of the MND. The philanthropy, as I mentioned about Facebook, they put resources into video, but they also have been putting resource into philanthropy. As if any of you are on Facebook, you might have noticed that they have the Donate Now buttons that have raised over $2 billion for organizations worldwide. The FDA has heard us and they are acting fast. And as I mentioned, ALS now is a universal term. So to close, I just want to say that you guys can do anything you set your mind to. This is a life motto that my brother has taught me and instilled in my mind from early onset, from just the beginning that we were little boys. And I truly believe that I was supposed to run the Boston Marathon this spring. However, due to COVID, my plans will have to be in 2021, my goal of running the 2020 Boston Marathon. I ran it in 2017 to honor my brother, but as I mentioned, the COVID-19 has postponed my goal to really set my mind and run the Boston Marathon in 2021. So this is Pete's family. This is Pete and his wife Julie and his daughter Lucy. Julie is a Boston College graduate as well, and his daughter Lucy is now 5.5, turned 6 in Ice Bucket Challenge. Turned 6 in August. And why I got crossed up there is because she was the exclamation point of the Ice Bucket Challenge. In August of 2014, she was not due until mid-September. September 23rd was her due date. And on August 31st of 2014, she came to the world, and she was really the exclamation point. And she is such a light of our lives and such a great person. And I can't wait to see her grow up and be the person that her daddy wants her to be. So thank you so much for having me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, but would welcome any questions that you all have. And thank you for your time, and thank you for your advocacy for your cause.
Thank you, Andrew. That was so inspirational. And if I may, I'd like to start with a question. This is Alicia from Swissnix. The Ice Bucket Challenge was such a unique idea. Can you tell us a little bit about why you chose that specific action rather than maybe something else that might be more conventional?
Yeah, of course. So the Ice Bucket Challenge was actually going around the internet for several different causes, mainly breast cancer. And the origin of the Ice Bucket Challenge is that a professional golfer in New York City said, I don't have any connection to breast cancer that the Ice Bucket Challenge is currently being doing, but my neighbor has ALS. I would like to do this Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS. And so we don't use the term that we created the Ice Bucket Challenge. We actually like to use the term that we popularized the Ice Bucket Challenge, because we don't want to take credit and take away from the good things that the Ice Bucket Challenge was doing previously. So we popularized the Ice Bucket Challenge and really branded it towards the ALS. So that's how the unique started and the origin of the Ice Bucket Challenge. And we're so happy and thankful to the many and millions of people who did the Ice Bucket Challenge for ALS.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience want to unmute and ask a question directly? Don't be shy.
I have a quick question, and thank you very much for the presentation. When you put together excuse me, sorry, my son's in the background there. I think he run away.
No worries.
Yeah, we're all kind of living an interesting life here. Together the original path of what you were doing with Team FrateTrain. What did you have as a goal in mind to begin with? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming you exceeded where you started from that point, but what did that initial meeting look like when you were putting it all together?
No,
thank you.
Question. And we thought, we would stick to the Beverly and Boston community really, and just raise $5,000 or $10,000 here at the 5Ks and the walks and the pub nights. But we were open to any and new fun and creative ideas, which is why I think we took a hold of the Ice Bucket Challenge when it was presented to us, is because the ALS before the Ice Bucket Challenge really had no voice. The doctors, when you were diagnosed with ALS, they really told you, go home, get your affairs in order, and live a quiet, comfortable life. My brother was 27 years old when he was diagnosed. That was unacceptable. So we created Team FrateTrain because we knew our friends and family would support us. Now, what we didn't know is that they would shout from the rooftops for us, which we are so grateful, and we love them so much for changing the trajectory of ALS and our family.
Thank you, Andrew. I've always been just fascinated by the Ice Bucket Challenge, as you know, and I know that everyone on the planet is trying to catch lightning in a bottle, right? Facebook has invited your family out to Menlo Park. They would love to be able to repeat the Ice Bucket Challenge, as would so many different nonprofit organizations. Do you have any advice for a recipe for success? Because it's special. It was a special event. Maybe it's, maybe lightning can strike more than once, but you have to create possibilities as well. So there's also some effort on our part. We can't just say, oh, the Ice Bucket Challenge is special, we'll never be able to do that again. I disagree. I think we can keep doing it.
Yeah, it's a great question, and something that we are trying to do ourselves. We've tried to replicate the Ice Bucket Challenge. The 5-year anniversary was last August in 2019, and we did an Ice Bucket Challenge in Copley Square with my brother in attendance, which he was at the real late stages in August of 2019. So it's a question that we are trying to answer ourselves. We've tried to replicate it, but as my dad says, it's like asking the Beatles to replicate Imagine, so it's such a tough thing, and how do you really follow that up is a question that we have been trying to do for 5 years and almost 6 years now. But I think what I would, my advice to organizations who are trying to get the word out is to just be open and do not shut anything out. As I mentioned, that we were doing the walks and the 5Ks and everything, and we were open to any and all ideas. We threw a country concert. My brother hates country music. So we did anything and everything. Don't shut any idea out. Nothing is too little and nothing is too big. To have those visions, my brother truly is a visionary who set visions and dreams and made them realities. So as he mentioned, he put it, as I mentioned, my brother sat down at that table that night and said, I'm going to get this in front of Bill Gates. And he ended up doing that, which is truly an amazing accomplishment.
We have a question from the audience. So of course, it sounds like you set out to raise awareness, but obviously you also had donations coming in. How did you decide where to direct people to donate? And did you have any specific partners in, say, a pharmaceutical company or some sort of research facility?
Sure. Yeah, we didn't actually direct anyone to donate the money. We felt that they could educate themselves and donate the money where they thought where it was appropriate. So obviously the 17 million people who uploaded on Facebook, they went and did their due diligence on Google, and they Googled ALS, and the first thing that comes up was the ALS Association. And ALS TDI in Cambridge also it was the next one down. But as I'm sure many of you know, being the first on that Google search is very valuable. So the ALS Association got the majority of the money, but other organizations did as well. And as Bob mentioned in his opening speech, we feel that rising tides lift all boats as well. So not did the ALS Association get a windfall of cash, but also other ALS organizations did as well.
I think we have time for one more question, if anyone would like to jump in.
So I would love to ask you, Andrew, I first want to thank you and your family for everything that you guys have done for the ALS community. And I come from patient advocacy and have worked with the ALS community on the industry side, and just humbled and honored and inspired to have that opportunity. But I would love to know, outside of fundraising and bringing awareness to ALS, are there ways that organizations like yours really want to partner with industry to advance kind of the ALS science and really, what we can offer to the community together?
Sure. It's a great question. And as I mentioned, our family was thinking about going back to medical school to become doctors to try to eliminate this disease, but that takes a lot of time and a lot of resources on our end. So we got to work on the advocacy side, and there's kind of two paths for ALS. There's the care path, which we chose on the advocacy side to make my brother comfortable and have him be at home with his loved ones and his wife and his doctor. And then there's the research path, which ALS TDI in Cambridge, they are 100% a research firm, and they partner with the many of the pharmaceuticals in Boston, and they're in Technology Square in Cambridge as well. So and then the ALS Association kind of has two branches of the research path and then the care path. And our family decided to go on the care side and become advocates. But however, that's not to say that we don't want to see a cure. Of course, we want to see a cure, and we don't care who does it. We just want someone to figure it out. And we would love to partner with anyone who thinks they can. We have decided to really support Pete's doctor at MGH, Merit Sokovich, and she is so smart and been in the ALS world for over 30 years now. So we support her from a research side, and whatever we put our complete trust and faith in her, and feel that she will make the right decisions, and she'll be the one, or at least one of the doctors to find a cure for this someday.